Load up on guns and bring your friends. It's fun to lose and to pretend she's overboard and self-assured. Oh no, I know a dirty word. Hello, 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 hello. With the lights out, it's less dangerous. Here we are now, entertain us. I feel stupid and contagious. Here we are now, entertain us. I'm worse at what I do best, and for this gift I feel blessed. Our little group has always been and always will until the end. Hello, 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 hello.
Hey guys, this took me 3 days to film, starting off with some Natasha Romanoff, especially with her makeup, going in with my foundation in 120 Classic Ivory from Maybelline Fit Me. I held it onto the camera for so long because I was waiting for it to focus, but it wasn't, so I took a hint. Gonna start this all over my face using my XA Beauty flat face brush. You'll notice that a lot of the footage is darker than others in some cases. It's only because I was counteracting against pixelation. With that aside, going in with my McKay Beauty Invisible Matte pressed powder and my powder brush, also from XA Beauty, to obviously set my face. Then going in with my CoverGirl. It's technically an eyeliner, but I use it as a brow pencil, just filling my brows in the way I see fit. Then going in with my Too Faced Sweet Peach palette and this lighter brown shade. This is the only palette I use throughout all three of the looks. Adding this into my crease and then taking a nice shiny gold shimmer shade into the inner tear duct as well as the inner lid. Then taking a paler shade onto the outer corner of my eye. And then this darker brown shade right into the crease just to give the first brown a lot more depth, a lot more drama, but still keeping absolutely everything neutral. Now going in with my pencil brush from XA Beauty and taking the same darker shade, adding this as an eyeliner to my upper lash line. Now going with the same lighter brown that we started off with to my under eyes. Still using my pencil brush just to map out my under eye. Going in with this Maybelline mascara just to fill in the outer edge of my lashes. You can definitely use eyelashes that are meant for that, meant for the outer corner, but I just stuck with using mascara. Now taking these two pink shades from the ABH Lip Pro palette. Adding a nice pink onto my lips. I do go in with the nude shade a little bit later just to neutralise it a little bit. Now with the wig cap on and my red wig on top, I am creating a bit of a bouffant, I believe that's possibly called. Just putting this in place for now as a starting point. Then we are going to be Dutch braiding a wig if you are working with a wig, obviously. Each of these styling steps I actually took inspiration from Kayla Melissa. I will link her Black Widow hairstyle explanation video below. So I'm definitely glad that this Dutch braiding technique worked out really well, or braiding altogether worked out really well for this wig. Because more often than not, when you're braiding a wig, it instantly bulks up so quickly and looks so out of place versus the own shape of your head. Of course, wigs are definitely different from our own hair, and whether or not you're even working with your natural hair, whether or not you're even a redhead. So as I braided along, I obviously left strands out around my face, because a little after, when Natasha gets into a fist fight with her sister Yelena in the loft, I believe it might have been, a lot of their hair got a bit muffed up. That's the new word, muffed. A lot of their hair got messed up. The irony is, when braiding this down, the top half of my head look very natural, and as soon as I got to the main tail of the braid, it's when it looked bulkiest. That was ironic. Popping in some blue contacts because obviously Natasha, Scarlet, has blue eyes. Adding a little bit of brown to the front hairline of the wig, just to add a bit of a natural widow's peak look, because my wig is way too straight. Natasha's first lot of fashion, leather jacket with a side structured zip, and a black t-shirt underneath, and some jeans, maybe some black boots, knee high. Now getting on with her white widowed hairstyle. As you can still see, I've still got my leather jacket on. But right now we're focused on the first braid, which is a shifted back lace braid. Essentially, you're going to braid a little bit off center of where you would normally put your Dutch or French braid. The front of it always sits kind of like a headband, where the braid is actually scooped back a lot of their hair. But the other side of the braid is a lot more closer to, just a little bit further back on your head. Then of course adding a second braid just behind it. And then using a bobby pin just to pin the first braid in a bit so it looks a lot more natural and naturally pressed to my head. Then using my eBay bought Romanoff curling iron just to curl up the wig, because Natasha had a lot of loose beachy waves. So this was for her white widow look, hair down, slightly braided, and I did get this costume from Costume Box. So now we're getting on with her black widow style, skipping about eyebrow width at the top of my head and just securing that out of the way. As I find pieces that amount to the accessory braids, accent braids that she had, I scooped out a section, then I braided on a spot, and then I moved on to the next few pieces and braided them. I sort of worked in subsections just so I could keep track of what piece stays out and what pieces get pinned back. So this one's a little bit more past the temple point but just above the ear. So mimicking precisely the same thing on the other side. Now taking the nape sections just below the ear. And now I'm working to get the rest of it into the base ponytail. In the beginning of this wholesome hairstyle, she actually has pretty much braids everywhere. But then when she and Yelena went involuntarily free-falling, her braid comes loose, so it sits back to more of a ponytail, especially towards the end of the movie. When the red room completely crashes, you do see Natasha turning around a little bit and her hair blowing in the wind. You definitely see a ponytail, but while she's working to manipulate Dreykov, you can see that all of behind shots of Natasha, her hair is in a ponytail. Her hair is more specifically in a braid. So just pinning all the braids right in their appropriate places, and then braiding down the nape sections. And that concludes her Black Widow look. I did get the costume from Unibuy, about 2 months worth of sewing, but then 2 weeks of shipping. Now we're moving on to Yelena. So taking some of the same light brown shade from the same peach palette and adding this into my crease. And taking a pale shade and just dotting that out a little bit to neutralize it. She doesn't really have anything focused in the crease, so I'll just toning down the shadow that's in my crease, and then taking a pale shade onto my eyelid, just to really make sure that the shadowed liner that we do later It stands out nice and opaque. It's not a specific eyeliner, it's more just depth of eyeshadow. So once again, taking a dark brown shadow and my pencil brush and adding the liner-like effect onto my upper lash line, and instantly adding a tail. And without any hesitation, also dragging onto my lower lashes. I made this really messy because Yelena's eyeliner was not perfectly structured. It looked like she'd been sleeping on her makeup for the past few days. And taking some black, and without necessarily crossing into the panda eye territory, I am adding the lightest amounts of this. Honestly, this black eyeshadow could go on for days. So just adding a little bit more depth, especially the lower lash line and the wing. Now taking the same mascara and this time coating all of my lashes. Only a little bit though. And taking some of the few same shades we used for our Natasha look, but just less amount of it. Adding a nice coral shade to my lips. Now for the wig, because rules are different when it comes to wigs, I did a brush, secure with an elastic, and then added some more strands on top for a growing ponytail. So I just used elastics to start securing it all. Once I had gotten every single strand up there, I then secured with an overall hair tie. So once again, just brushing, or selecting the strand first, then brushing all the way through to make sure that it's all nice and smooth. Then brushing in a manipulated pattern and direction, as you see. And then joining it up with the growing ponytail with an elastic. And then as for the bottom, I just shot that into a very easy, quick ponytail. And that concludes second Yelena's look. First one actually consisted of technically her character had a light grey jacket, but only had a black one, white tank top and jeans. That's also mounted to her double ponytail look. And often than not, she also had double ponytail for her white widow look along with the vest. Now we're focusing on her milkmaid braids, like a crown style but milkmaid, adding 3 twists at the top just to give that a little bit more of a dimensional look. And then adding from those twists into the actual beginning of the braid, and then Dutch braiding, and trying to keep the braid itself well away from my hairline, so it does directionally go backwards. I should get quite a lot of distance from the braid itself to her ear. And I'm also really glad that this wig worked out well with braiding wise, because like I said, wigs can bunch up and bulk up so easily when it comes to braids, but I was definitely very lucky and very happy that this wig looked very natural. Once again, sorry for the depth of lighting, I was once again comparing it against the pixelations from the green screen. I mean, I think my lighting is pretty consistent, but I learnt the hard way when I activate green screen. It's a little bit brighter now, you can see it a little bit better, but I'm just doing precisely the same thing on the other side. That's spreading along, scooping up hair, and then anchoring the braid towards the back of my head. Once I have finally finished braiding both strands, I then tied into a half knot, and the tail ends I just tucked underneath a little bit more. So therefore the ends of your hair that's outside the hair ties should kind of look like puppy ears sticking out of your neck a little bit. That officially concludes her second-ish look from her milkmaid braids when they first get to their fosterish mother's house. So Natasha had 3 different looks, hairstyles included, and Natasha and Yelena only had 2, but 3 different hairstyles. So this officially concludes all of Black Widow, from her biker chick-ish appeal to her White Widow to a Black Widow, as well as Yelena from her average wear to her White Widow with the vest. Thank you all so much for watching. I really do hope you enjoyed this video, and I shall see you all for my future videos. Bye guys!